Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your Libertarian car guy, and they just dropped off for me a new GMC Canyon, which is a truck along with its Chevy stablemate that has been much anticipated. GM was out of the compact truck market for a while, and now they're back in, and actually this is, in my opinion, not really a compact truck. It's more of a mid-sized truck. I don't know, I have to look and check dimensions. They literally just dropped this off, but just eyeballing it, I think it's only slightly smaller than something like a Dodge Dakota or the current Nissan Frontier, and those are arguably closer to being mid-sized rather than compact. So I think that the case is that there still isn't a truly compact truck available anymore on the market. And I really don't understand why that is. I have two compact trucks. They're actually both Nissan Frontiers, the older models, dating back to, I guess mine's an 02 and the other one's a 98. Nissan upsized their Frontier to midsize, I think in 2004, maybe 2005. At any rate, one of the things that I really like about the compact trucks, and I have one of them, is that you could get in the past a four-wheel drive truck with the four-cylinder engine, and it was reasonably economical, but the big issue for me was that it was simpler to work on, easier to work on. You had a four-cylinder in an engine bay that was meant or designed to accommodate a V6, and so you could pretty much get to everything, and it was a pretty straightforward vehicle. And I found that I never really needed the size or the power of a larger truck like this. This is a really nice truck. I'm not going to faulted on niceness. This thing is a Cadillac compared to either of my two Nissans. But, I'm going to take a quick look here at the MSRP. Let's see what we got here. Here's the stuff that GM sent me that comes along with the truck, and I called them on Roni. So look at that. That's $40,465. Yowza. Standard vehicle price, $36,950. Now this is a crew cab, and it's got a lot of options, including automatic four-wheel drive. And it has a nice GPS system and yada yada yada, but it's $40,000, and that is a pile of money. I think I spent no more than $8,000 for both of my two trucks used. I guess I'm just a cheapskate and a minimalist. I don't feel the need for all of this stuff, but this is a pretty big truck. Just driving it, I can feel the size of it, but the length of it, which is good and it's bad. It feels macho and manly as we trundle down the road here, but once you get it into suburbia urbanity, which is where I'm headed right now from the woods, you'll find that it's more difficult to park it, it's more awkward to maneuver it, and so on and so forth. So I'll have an article up about this thing that'll compare it to some of the other trucks on the market. I'm just kind of disappointed that that nobody has a truly compact-sized truck anymore on the market. So that's all I've got to say about that at the moment. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, just shifting gears here a little bit, is a kind of a supplementary video rant to the article that I posted on the site a few days ago about the electronic glitches, the ghosts in the machines that one encounters sometimes in these modern cars. Where everything, literally everything, is completely controlled by a computer, and people don't realize the extent of that. I had a Mini Cooper, 2015 Mini Cooper, the week prior, about a week ago, I guess. Really neat, fun little car. I'm a big fan of the Mini. I think it's pugnacious, it's cute, it's not hyper macho, it's a lot of fun to drive, even though they've made it a little bit larger. It's still an extremely agile, maneuverable little car that you can frogger through traffic in, and it takes a lot of people, and yada yada yada. But here's what I wanted to tell you about. So one day, it was about the third day after they dropped the car off for me to drive around, I was out with my wife, and we had stopped at a Starbucks down at the bottom of the hill here, which is about 30 miles away, at a Starbucks to get some coffee. Got in, got the coffee, came back out to the car, got in the car, and the transmission would not move out of park. Now, the interesting thing about that, in the past, that would have been a mechanical issue, because when you put your right hand down here on the shift lever, this shift lever was connected to a physical cable or a mechanism, that then connected to the transmission, which is, typically right there underneath you. But modern cars, many of them, and probably soon all of them, have drive-by-wire controls both for the throttle, that is when you push your foot down on the gas pedal, and for moving the transmission selector through the various gears. So in other words, when you try to pull the transmission of the automatic transmission shift lever from park to reverse or drive, you're not actually physically doing that. What you're doing is actuating, you're triggering a sensor, which then electronically triggers an actuator, which then engages the appropriate gear that you've selected. My problem was that for whatever reason, the computer did not want to move the transmission out of park, and as a result of that, I had to use the emergency failsafe, which I'll tell you about. Most people aren't aware that new cars have this, and they have it because of this problem. You'll find that somewhere on the console here around where the shifter lever is, there'll be a little plate or an access panel or something like that that you have to remove or pop up out of the way. On the Mini, it had a kind of a circular round trim ring thing, and I've got pictures of it up with the article at epautos.com. Anyway, you'd lift that up, pull that up, and then there's a little yellow catch under there that you'd push, and that mechanically releases or disengages the computer lock, which I did. And at that point, I was able to put the transmission into reverse and get out of the Starbucks parking lot. The problem, though, was that now the transmission was not functioning normally. It would not upshift, so it would only move forward in first gear, and that meant that I had to drive the 30-something miles back home to the woods here in first gear at about 30 miles an hour with the engine screaming along at about 3,500 to 4,000 RPMs. I didn't want to go any faster than that because I didn't want to break the car. Anyway, so I got the thing home miraculously. And what I did then was what you do to your PC or even your Mac when it starts acting funky. I rebooted the thing, and the way you do that is to disconnect the battery. Same thing as pulling the plug on a computer that's got the eternally spinning wheel. So I did that and let the car sit overnight, and then the next morning I reconnected the battery, and sure enough, now the transmission operated normally. But I had multiple warning lights flashing on the instrument cluster. The TCS, the ABS, and something called chassis control lights were all going on at the same time. Now I drove the car like that for I guess about 40 minutes, and one by one they all went out. And from that moment on, the car drove normally. There was no evidence of any problem whatsoever. I had the car for another 4 days. And it kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies and got me to thinking, now if I had been the owner of the car, if I'd bought this car, I'd kind of be flipping out. Because not just the problem, but the fact that there's no evidence of the problem. So you just buy this car and it's starting to do all these things, and what do? You take it to the dealer and tell them what exactly? There's no evidence of a problem. By the way, this truck has pretty good power. Just accelerated around a clover here. Has that 3.6 liter V6 that GM uses in a number of its vehicles, including the Cadillac CTS and the Camaro. But getting back to what we're talking about, if you had a mechanical problem in the past, and it would pretty much be a mechanical problem until it was fixed. So you could take the car in and say, hey, look, my transmission's not working, or hey, my brakes are sticking, or whatever it happened to be. But what do you do when there's an intermittent software problem, a ghost in the machine, and the car works perfectly fine most of the while, but every once in a while it just doesn't, for reasons that cannot be determined, or which are very hard to determine. So I don't know what to think about that, and I'm not singling out BMW, which owns Mini, or Mini, because these issues happen with increasing frequency to cars made by all kinds of different manufacturers, both import and domestic. And the reason for it is that the layered and interrelated and interconnected technologies these cars have, they're becoming enormously complex. And the complexity kind of increases the chances of something going wrong somewhere. When they work, they're great, but when they don't work, boy, you can have a real headache on your hands. So that's it for today's rant. I'm going to drive this truck around some more and see what I think about it. And hope you'll stop by epautos.com. Let us know what you think about our stuff. And if you're interested in a sticker, you can get one there too. And we'll catch you next